state-of-the-art structures, Cameroon football is still making headlines for wrong reasons, with the various players tasked with managing the sports called to get their act together. In our newsroom dossier, we talk about the ups and downs of football in Cameroon. With the growing number of private security companies in the country, there are fears that the activities are a threat to national unity, to national security. In our investigative page tonight, we take a look at the problems in the sector and envisaged solutions. Plus, many Christians worldwide observe Ash Wednesday today, the period which marks the start of Lent, characterized by fasting, prayer and almsgiving, a reminder of human mortality and the need for penitence. And those are top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
In his continuous quest to have an up-to-date football stadium constructed nationwide, President Paul Biya, under his stewardship, has supervised the construction and renovation of some stadia in Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe, Garoua, and Bafoussam. Stadiums like the Olembe Complex and the Japoma Stadium in Douala are glaring examples of outstanding football stadia Cameroon has been blessed with under President Paul Biya's reign. Baldwin Samanal tells us more in the following report.
It stands out tall as one of the greatest football stadia the country has been blessed with under President Paul Biya's auspices. The Japoma Stadium in the nation's economic capital, which today is a reference in Africa as far as a quality sports infrastructure is concerned. Eager to have football played on quality stadia that match international standards, President Paul Biya's stewardship has provided this befitting sports jewel. Still in Douala, the renovated reunification stadium is today a perfect example of a modern stadium thanks to the head of state's quest to modernize already existing infrastructure. The Bafoussam and Limbe Omnisport Stadia stand out unique as fruits of the head of state's vision of a modernized country with sports facilities.
We should understand the progress we have made, and we should protect this to ensure that these properties are kept. They should not be vandalized.
I wish to thank President Paul Biya and all Cameroonians for the huge investment. It is for the African youth and not only Cameroonians.
The Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium is another example of a beautiful edifice renovated under the special auspices of President Paul Biya. And why not talk about the Rumdi Adja Stadium in Garoua, ready and waiting for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Perhaps unique in its quality is the Olembe Sports Complex. A stadium, when open, will be a reference in Africa and the world. Alongside these stadia are the different training facilities in Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe, and Boya, ready for any competition.
It is almost 7 years now that the National Football Academy Food has been existing. Created by presidential decree, it has been an arena of harnessing young football talents whose missions are to defend the country's colors in future top-notch competitions. The academy, in brief, depicts President Paul Biya's sportsmanship in making Cameroon a reservoir of football prowess. Romeo Kenny tells us more.
The creation of the National Football Academy in 2014 by President Paul Biya came to reshape the dynamo of detecting football talent in the country. 7 years after, more than 1,300 kids are proudly registered in the academy, and the scouting process is yielding fruit.
When they are playing their football, they can make career, and also they are supposed to go at school.
It's a state-owned academy. We are working with experts. Our main target is to make sure the dream of these players come true.
Through this vision, the head of state gives equal opportunities to all young stars, irrespective of backgrounds, ambitious to make football a lifetime career. This move also enables put aside huge financial obligations and impromptu shutdowns from most existing private-owned academies.
We have succeeded in training team managers. We also train video analysts. We succeeded already in sending one of our boys in Manchester City.
With the aid of partners, Anafoot management is confident harnessing a diversiform armada of soccer skills, hence making Cameroon a reservoir of football prowess.
Well, I'm receiving at this moment the editor-in-chief at the Central Desk. Good evening, Benin.
Good evening to you, Gladys.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, President Paul Biya, in his address to the youth last February 10th, Benin called on the youth to properly handle the sports infrastructure in Cameroon. But Benin, you say this calls for a sense of responsibility from every Cameroonian?
Matter of fact, you already know that as far as sports infrastructure is concerned, Cameroon stands out. As a matter of fact, Cameroon outclasses other countries as far as sports infrastructure is concerned. You've gotten it from the president of CAF, Ahmed, Gianni Infantino, and the others. But now is the moment, like President Paul Biya saying, that it is time for us to take care of this infrastructure. You understand that in an African context, a father always hands down something to a son.
Legacy, what you mean?
Like a legacy, and you keep it, and tomorrow you tell your son, I got this from my father, who got this from his father, who got this from his father before him. If there is anything you want to really preserve, is you want to preserve what your father gave unto you. And President Paul Biya stands like a great father who has supervised the construction of many beautiful stadiums, especially the Japoma Stadium, and we're talking about the Olympic Stadium that will be used for the African Nations Cup. So when he says we should take good care of it, it is now our responsibility, it is now the responsibility of football administrators in the country to be able to take great care of this. It is at this level that I seem to agree with Boniface Fontaine Kobena and many others who have associated President Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. In his book, Sacerdotal Politics and System Sustainability, the Paul Biya Paradigm, he compares Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. Jesus will heal somebody and say, go and sin no more, as in take care of your miracle. And now he builds the infrastructure and say, take care of it because Africa is watching.
Okay, but Ben, and the president has equally called on football administrators to do all, for the championship to resume. In this case, they should respect the president's political ideology, which is one of inclusion.
We just talked about President Paul Biya's political ideology. If you follow the politics in the country, you'll notice that in his democratic principles, the president of the republic has one of inclusion. He calls for everybody to come into this system because now he's looking at the greater good of all, not just for his own good. It is not for his person, because I imagine that there are a lot of people who have insulted Paul Biya, but they're working in his government. There are a lot of people who criticize him, lampoon the president, but they're in his government. It is a political ideology of inclusion because we're looking at the greater good. Now, when the president is speaking to football administrators, calling on them to bury the hatchet and work together for the common good of the sport, is actually telling them that this is a time to include those who do not even think like you, if at all you are the one running the FA or you're the one at the at the helm of the professional football league. Today the news is disturbing. Two factions of Fcfa fighting for the start of the championship, and then presidents of the football teams are saying that they will start the championship. There is a lot of disorder, and this is where the call of the president comes in. Lay aside the hatchet, lay aside your egocentric disposition, egomaniacal disposition, and work for the common good. The moment they get to work for the common good, as the president calls, we are going to get to a destination where it is going to be for the good of football of the entire country.
What next?
What next? I follow clearly, the president of the Sports and Olympic and Sports Committee, Kalkaba Malbomu, says it is time for both internal and external stakeholders to come together. Internal stakeholders are football administrators, Fcfa, those in the ministry and those in the professional football league. External stakeholders are you and me and all the board and other persons that are connected to football to come together and speak one language, and it is the language of football. How can the football in the country develop? They should forget about what they're supposed to receive or not receive. Forget about money. After that, they can look at money. But let the football in the country go ahead. Let everybody speak in one language, and football will go on.
Thank you very much, Benin.
Thank you very much, Gladys.
And that is the editor-in-chief for Central Desk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you once more for being here. Well, we continue with this newscast to talk on Cameroon's under-20 Football Lions have defeated Uganda 1-0 in their second Group A match at the ongoing under-20 African Cup of Nations. With this victory, the under-20 Football Lions have qualified for the second round of the competition. Baldwin Sama has highlights of the match in this report.
Pour les Camerounais avec un ballon encore une fois qui a du mal à lever, mais là par contre c'est dedans. Oh, quel but!
A second victory in their second outing as Cameroon's under-20 Football Lions consolidates their leadership position in Group A with this victory. Hippos of Uganda came calling at the 10th minute of play as Basingwa failed to concretize this scoring opportunity. Cameroon's domination paid off through this corner kick with Junior Sunday's connecting header that gave Cameroon the lead.
Avec un ballon encore une fois qui a du mal à lever, mais là par contre c'est dedans. Oh, quel but! La tête sur ce corner, le Cameroun qui ouvre le score, et c'est lui, Sundell Junior.
The second half of the match saw the Hippos of Uganda squander a golden opportunity to level scores at the 69th minute. Both teams were subjected to a rendition of squandered scoring opportunities. After 90 minutes of play, the under-20 Football Lions had secured 3 points as they now top Group A with 6 points, already qualified for the quarter-finals before their last group match this Saturday against Mozambique.
Away from sports, in recent times, the problems connected to private security in Cameroon have gone under scrutiny, with observers arguing that if not well regulated, the sector could pose threats to national security. With 25 such agencies authorized to function in Cameroon and the possibility of recruiting up to 80,000 agents, many say there is need for order. Kylian Dandifon tells us how in the following report.
The first problem with private security is that its operational staff has the basic defense and security training. It is a problem because it can easily be used as the other side of the coin against Republican values. Clear examples come from defected or retired uniformed persons who have found themselves within the ranks of bandits and terrorists and are giving sleepless nights to innocent citizens as well as defense and security forces. Some owners of private security agencies do not respect the quotas prescribed by government. Hence, false declaration of staff strength and social security obligations. Compounded with low salaries, they are vulnerable to deviant calls that can produce money at the expense of national security. Given that the law permits one private security agency to employ up to 5,000 agents, the 25 authorized at full capacity can number up to a threatening 125,000 private security agents in Cameroon. By stepping up private security capacity in our environment with a high probability of manipulation, the immediate results could be positive. But when leakages occur and when examined in the long term, it is so sensitive a sector to let cracks develop on its walls.
A presidential decree of 12th February has authorized the Minister of Finance to raise 350 billion CFA francs in public securities, an exercise which will be launched on 24th February 2021. In the first quarter, the state is hoping to secure between 100 and 125 billion CFA francs funds, which will be used to execute development projects. Clarice Aritakang explains.
Out of the 4,865.2 billion CFA francs of Cameroon's 2021 state budget, the Ministry of Finance has been authorized with powers of delegation to issue 350 billion CFA francs worth of public securities, especially in treasury bonds. This falls within the government's borrowing program for the fiscal year, which totals 1,363.4 billion CFA francs. On the one hand, in the 24th February and 24th March exercises, the intention is to raise between 30 and 40 and 35 and 50 billion CFA francs. Both have a 5-year maturity and 5.5% interest rate as laid down in the presidential decree of 12 February 2021. On the other, the March 10, 2021 launch will be looking forward to supplying the public treasury with between 25 and 35 billion CFA francs in bonds. The funds secured will go into the development of a number of sectors, amongst them roadworks, water and energy, as well as agricultural projects. As the primary market gets done with their purchase by treasury bond specialists, the desire is to see moral and fiscal persons rush to the secondary market to enable the state push through with its growth plan.
Taxpayers in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, have been experimenting with e-procedures of reforms introduced by the taxation departments to simplify procedures. While users are yet to get accustomed to the new, economists have hailed the initiative as being good for state revenue. Sally Ebenenyoki tells us more from Crtv Littoral in Douala.
One of the measures to secure revenue collection contained in the 2021 finance law is the prohibition of the payment of taxes and duties in cash and tax offices, and the generalization to the divisional tax offices of the payment methods in force in the specialized management units. The law consecrates e-payment as a compulsory method of payment of taxes and duties for large companies. René Ngemalo, a financial expert in the CEMAC sub-region, confirms that digitalization is a reality in Cameroon. To him, it is a great step because it makes life easy for taxpayers and also permits taxation centers to concentrate in the follow-up of taxpayers' documents. Taxpayers are, however, experimenting e-procedures and e-payment, even though with a lot of technical challenges in the system. In this regard, the expert says there is still much to be done. Though the procedure has been simplified, he complained about serious problems with the server. To him, to obtain the document, you spend a whole day on the computer and you end up not receiving it. Certainly, those who installed the system did not take into consideration the volume of operations. The tax administration is, however, determined to modernize its operations so as to broaden the tax base and secure revenue collected.
The outgoing Turkish ambassador to Cameroon, Her Excellency Ayşe Saraç, has reaffirmed her country's commitment in partnering with Cameroon. This was during a farewell audience granted her by the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Achille Basilekin-Troa. Both officials equally discussed Cameroon's participation at the April 2021 Economic and Commercial Forum between Turkey and Africa to be held in Ankara. Joyce Tata has details of the story.
We had really very efficient, fruitful cooperation, and I would like to extend my thanks. And SMEs are a very important part of economic development and also in Cameroon's strategy development plan. So this partnership will enrich in many modalities. So I will convey him all the information.
There is an agreement that is on the way to ensure that we continue exchanging techniques, craftsmen, and particularly their technical capabilities in that area.
The Belgian ambassador to Cameroon says he is ready to collaborate with the network of diaspora parliamentarians for decentralized cross-border cooperation between better known by its French acronym as RECODE, to sensitize the Cameroonian diaspora in Belgium on the importance of contributing to the development of their country. Eric Kmer made the commitment Tuesday in an audience he granted members of the network, led by its president, Honorable Henri-Louis Ngecha. Clarence Nge with the details of that meeting.
The over 2 hours audience at the Belgian embassy at Bastos in Yaoundé was focused on a plethora of issues. Amongst them, RECODE intends to partner with the Belgian embassy in order to easily communicate with the Cameroonian diaspora in Belgium.
I'm very happy to know that there are more than almost 13,000 Cameroonians staying in Belgium. And we're also happy when the ambassador told us that everything is fine. There are peace-loving Cameroonians staying in Belgium.
In his part, the head of the Belgian diplomatic mission to Cameroon promised to accompany Repcord, realize its objectives in educating Cameroonians abroad.
Indeed, it's in our heart also to help them further and to strengthen the communication, which is a very long and historic bridge and link between both countries.
Created in April 2020, the association intends to build a bridge between the government and its diaspora, and also to encourage mutual cooperation that can serve the country in various aspects of development in both ends.
We take you to the Far North region to talk on the newly appointed president of the Court of First Instance for the Diamare Zizamle Isaiah and the State Council Jean-Paul Kiam, who have taken up functions. They were installed with a call by the president of the Far North Court of Appeal, Justice Matthias Nyot-Dinger, to render justice with equity and fairness. He equally instructed them to fight against judicial delays in order to decongest prisons. Henry Tatoy Kambi reports from Crtv Far North in Marwa.
As a result of judicial delays, the prisons in the Far North are overcrowded with inmates awaiting trial. This explains why the president of the Far North Court of Appeal instructed the new president of the Court of First Instance, Zizamle Isaiah, and the new State Council to court in the Diamare, Jean-Paul Kiam, to depopulate the prisons as well as render justice with fairness.
The essence is that our prisons should be depopularized. You have too many detainees who are in prison and pending trial. We want the situation to reverse.
The two newly installed magistrates, who have over 20 years of working experience, were enjoined to use their office to reduce urban criminality and the consumption of drugs that is high in the Far North capital.
A cultural week marked by open door days, sporting and relaxation activities has been organized at the Combined Services Military Academy EMIA here in Yaoundé. The event, organized in the build-up to the graduation of the 38th batch of cadet officers, was an occasion for the population to have an idea of what the military is all about. Elvis Teke paints a picture of the open day at EMIA.
The historic gates of Triumph flank open for the general public, but access is conditioned by temperature control and disinfection, amongst other COVID-19 barrier measures. The walls of these buildings that have trained some of Cameroon's finest soldiers is given a new coat of paint as it prepares to send out a new batch of graduates. The Peace and Unity, as the 38th batch has been christened, is a group of 342 men and women who have undergone 36 months of training. Amongst them are officers from friendly countries like Côte d'Ivoire, Congo and Gabon.
We have two types of compass, Wilkie compass and Silver's compass. We have here telescope.
The Cultural Week, organized at EMIA, which is one of their last major activities on campus before graduation, is marked by various competitions. The outgoing batch has also left their mark at the Combined Services Military Academy, EMIA, with a souvenir signboard at the main entrance of the campus.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Travelers into Cameroon have expressed disgruntlement over the discrepancies they complain exist between COVID-19 tests done abroad and those done in Cameroon. To explain these differences, let's join Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening, BrigadeAntiSardinard. It remains a major concern for most travelers who wish to know the differences between COVID-19 screening, which is being done in Cameroon, and others done out of the country. We try to find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Joseph Fokam, who is a virologist. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
What are the major differences between screening carried out for COVID-19 here in Cameroon and others done out of the country?
Effectively, with respect to the World Health Organization recommendation, Cameroon is using the molecular testing approach to screen for those traveling out and into Cameroon with respect to COVID-19 infection. And why? Because this molecular testing is the PCR reference assay that detects the viral genome itself, which is the most highly sensitive testing approach. Other countries like in the US also accept antigen rapid testing within their framework, but to mitigate risk of infection, they retest those who come in their country 3 to 5 days thereafter. So in Cameroon, we don't really want to take any major risks. We test everybody coming with a PCR testing, and those coming even with a PCR result within 22 hours, we still make sure we do a rapid antigen testing. And based on this, Cameroon is really able to pick up the most of the cases that comes in with a positive infection.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for all those explanations. You now have an idea as to what particular screening for COVID-19, the PCR screening for COVID-19, that is what is being carried out in Cameroon, quite different from what is being done in other countries. Back to you, BrigadeAntiSardinard.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, and hope to be in your company same time as usual tomorrow. A parliamentary commission of inquiry have expressed their dismay at the fact that work on the site to host the Bamenda Reference Hospital has been abandoned for the past 2 years. The team, led by Honorable Emmanuel Banmia, have vowed to resume at the site soonest. Eric Langmia-Wufo has the details from Bamenda.
This is what is visible at the site to host the Bamenda Reference Hospital. Contracts were awarded to a Moroccan company, Alliance Construction Cameroon, in 2018. The contractual duration of 18 months has expired, and works here have been abandoned.
Sometime in, I believe, 2018, November, we came to the site and we were told that the work was temporarily stopped because of security reasons. When I got back to the project manager, for Alliance, he said we should give it another couple of months. After a couple of months, and then from there, there was no communication.
A 5-strong parliamentary commission of inquiry has been to the site to evaluate works.
Out of the 14 structures that we previewed in the contract, only 7 has been taken to roofing level, and the other 7 are just at foundation level. And worst of all, the work has the site has been abandoned for reasons that we are yet to find out.
They have vowed to submit their findings to government with the aim of seeing works resumed at the site situated at the Queen neighborhood in Bamenda 3 subdivision.
And on to this lead story, Catholic Christians the world over have begun observing the Lent period with Ash Wednesday. The period is characterized by fasting and prayers in readiness for Easter. Alice Mbe visited the Toussaint de Van parish and reports that it was a solemn mass. Alice?
The Catholic Christians of Toussaint de Van parish received the ash on their heads this morning. This tradition to the Catholic Christians is a sign of repentance and sincerity in Christ.
This day is a day which we begin the Lent period. We commemorate the suffering and death of Jesus Christ. We recognize we are weak and have sins. That is why we are purifying ourselves. Jesus fasted and prayed for 40 days in the desert to be free from sins, to move from an unclean soul to a clean soul.
The Lent period that will last for about 5 weeks will enable Christians confess their sins and process their devotion to God as they prepare themselves for Easter.
And that does it on this edition. Thanks for watching. You'll be in the company of Evelyn Owonai-Somba at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back same time tomorrow. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Today, La Regionale continues its expansion by opening its share capitals to you. From February 9th to the 26th, 2021, take the opportunity to share your projects by buying La Regionale shares at the pre-share price at 42,000 CFA. Log on to laregionalebourse.com or chat on WhatsApp +237 696 666 400. La Regionale, better than what you think.
Depuis le 20 novembre 2020, la promo 20 sur 20, c'est magique. 3600 gagnants de 20 000 francs toutes les 20 minutes, 20 voitures à gagner et surtout maintenant un gros lot de 20 millions de francs CFA à la fin de la promo. Pour participer, c'est simple. Jusqu'au 19 février 2021, achète le max de forfait d'une valeur d'au moins 250 francs ou alors multiplie tes moments à partir de 5 000 francs et participe au tirage au sort. 20 millions de francs, c'est 20 sur 20.